Kickers. Am I right? What's good, Buck Nation? It's your rude boy, Juan Swagadello, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Tuff Bucs. Well, our reign at the top of the NFC South was short-lived, and we're back to a losing record, but that's okay. We're still early in the season, folks. I also learned a couple of things this past weekend. One, we're terrible during Ring of Honor games, and two, our kicking woes still continue. Today, we'll discuss the Buccaneers' Week 3 heartbreaking loss to Jim Carrey and the New York Football Giants. We'll then preview the Bucs' Week 4 matchup against the defending NFC champions, the LA Rams. So with that, let's giddy up. Nothing comes easy for us Buccaneer fans. But before we talk about the obvious, let's talk about the positives from the game. This week, I'm going to give two Tuff Buck awards. On the offensive side, the Tuff Buck award goes to my guy Mike Evans. After having a slow start to the season, Evans came in hot in Week 3 against the Giants' weak secondary. He finished with 8 receptions, 190 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and had a nice 44-yard reception to set up a potential 34-yard game-winning field goal at the end of regulation. Y'all know how that went. For the second week in a row, the Defensive Tuff Buck Award goes to Moochman, aka Shaq Barrett. Somehow Shaq found a way to outdo his last week's performance by recording a whopping 4 sacks and 2 forced fumbles against Daniel Jones. He now has 8 total sacks in the season, and for his efforts has earned himself a $250,000 bonus. And he'll get the same amount if he reaches 10. I'm gonna take the over on that one. Back to the game, the offense in the first half were on a roll. Jameis Winston and his receivers were in sync and were firing the cannons non-stop. The defense had held Saquon Barkley in check and rendered him obsolete. Heading into the half, the Bucs were up 28-10 with a comfortable 18-point lead. This was surely going to be a win for the Bucs, right? Wrong! In the second half, the Buccaneers defense came out flat as the Giants scored on their very first play with a 75-yard Evan Ingram touchdown. That's when I knew things were about to take a turn for the worse. The D-line showed up and put constant pressure on Jones, but the horrid play by the secondary, they didn't hold their end of the bargain, giving up explosive play after explosive play. Offensively, the Bucs could not get anything going and played conservative ball to eat at the clock. And that's what separates us from the great teams. We played not to lose as opposed to playing to win. The great teams, on the other hand, put the pedal to the floor, and Byron Leftwich didn't do that. With all that said, the Bucs offense were still able to march down the field with only 1 minute and 16 seconds left on the clock to set up a game-winning field goal. Which leads me to Matt Gay. Look, I commend the Buccaneers locker room for sharing the blame and not putting it all on Matt. There were definitely blown opportunities on both sides of the ball, and he shouldn't have been put in that situation to begin with. However, I am going to put the blame on kicker Matt Gay. He left a total of 5 points off the board, and he of all people should know how important he is to this team. There is a laundry list of kickers we've been through to get us to where we're at, and in the end, the 2 missed extra points ended up costing the team a victory. Granted, one of them was a block, but still, had he made just one of them, the game would have been tied. If he makes both, it puts the Giants in a situation where they have to go for 2, and who knows if they make that. Finally, I don't give a rat's ass about a 5-yard delay game penalty. That ball would have sailed right regardless. Look, you're a kicker. You get paid to do one thing, and that's to kick the ball through the uprights. For better or for worse, we're stuck with this dude, so there's no point in hating on him. I will say he's been pretty good thus far in the season, but my gosh, man, that miss, it really overshadows all of that. He's gonna have to do a lot better to earn the confidence of Buck Nation. With a heartbreaking loss to a bad Giants team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will have to regroup and get their minds right, because next week starts a daunting 5-game road stretch in which they'll start by traveling to LA to face the current NFC champions, the Los Angeles Rams, who are currently 3-0. Alright, let's talk about the Rams offense. For the 3rd straight week, the Bucs will have to go up against another elite running back, this time in the form of Todd Gurley. They were able to contain McCaffrey and took Barkley out of the picture, but how would they fare against the Rams stud? Against the Browns, not much came out of Gurley, and that may have something to do with their offensive line. Last week, they played with 3 first-year starters, and the Browns were able to put constant pressure on Goff and hold the run game in check. This is an area that the defensive line of the Bucs can take advantage of. Jared Goff, on the other hand, has been slow to develop any kind of rhythm in the first half of ball games. But I expect McVay and the Rams to go after the Bucs secondary immediately, especially how they looked against the Giants. Moving on to the Rams defense, Wade Phillips has managed to get the most out of his defenders and have held their own against the big-time playmakers in Carolina, New Orleans, and Cleveland. With the likes of Aaron Donald, Clay Matthews, and Eric Weddle, the Rams are 3rd in total yards per game, 4th in passing yards per game, 11th in rushing yards per game, and finally are tied for 6th in points per game. This will definitely be a tough test for the Buccaneers offense that finally found some rhythm against the Giants. They'll have to carry that play over to Los Angeles and most importantly, play a mistake-free football game in order to stand a chance against the Rams' stout defense. Now that we're all caught up with the Rams, let's take a look at a key matchup in this game. Both offensive lines have had their struggles, and both defensive lines have excelled. Which offensive line will outdo the other? Devin White, Devontae Bond, and Jamel Dean are all questionable again for their Week 4 matchup against the Rams. We sure could have used Devin White in last week's game. Hopefully, he'll be able to suit up against the Rams. Last week I came out even hitting the spread, but failing on the over-under. My average for the year is still at 500. The Bucs are 10-point underdogs in this one. In my predictions episode, I have the Rams winning this game. Call me crazy, but I think the Bucs make this a close one and will cover the spread. I'll take the Bucs at 10 points. After a miserable second half displayed by the Bucs secondary, I think they'll bounce back against a struggling Jared Goff. The Bucs D has managed to contain elite running backs thus far, and they'll continue with Gurley. This game will be a defensive battle, so I'll take the under 50.5 points on this one. And that's our Week 4 preview of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Los Angeles Rams. I'll be at the game, so follow me on Instagram to get live updates. Let me know who you think will win this game by leaving a comment below. If you liked the video, hit the like, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're a real tough Buck, then click that bell icon so that you get real-time notifications on when new videos drop. So until next time, Buck Nation, y'all know what to do. Let's keep firing them cannons.